Clean beginnings. The scent of lemon disinfectant still reminds me of hope. At 31, I'm Stella Romano, founder of Clean Life, and $5 million cleaning empire with 80 employees. Most people see mops and buckets when they look at my work. I see transformed spaces and the quiet dignity of a job well done. My office walls display 2 framed photos, one of our first company van, the other of my brother Arthur in his white coat on med school acceptance day. The distance between those pictures holds our entire story. The weight of a promise. I was 10 when I first held Arthur in that hospital waiting room. His tiny fingers curled around mine as Mom whispered, "You're his big sister now." That moment shaped everything. When pneumonia nearly took him 8 years later, I spent nights dozing in plastic chairs, memorizing the rhythm of his wheezing breaths. The doctors called it a miracle recovery. Arthur called it his calling. Watching Drive, Vincent moved through the ward with quiet competence. My brother's path became clear. So did mine. Building more than a business. My first cleaning job paid $12 per hour. The clinic director's compliment, "You make healing possible too," stuck like grout under my fingernails. While classmates went to college, I learned how ammonia cuts through grease and which microfiber leaves streak-free shine. By 25, I was managing teams at corporate high-rises. The night shift janitors taught me Spanish. The single moms showed me how to stretch a paycheck. When Mrs. Kowalski pressed her key into my palm saying, "You see what others ignore," the dream for Clean Life took shape. Financing dreams. Arthur's acceptance letter arrived the same week we landed the Bancroft Tower contract. The numbers didn't add up. -$90K tuition versus our $470,000 reserves. But some debts aren't financial. You'll bankrupt yourself, Dad warned when I liquidated investments. Arthur's trembling hug said everything. I'll be a doctor who remembers where he came from. The fracture. Success changed things. At family gatherings, conversations stalled when I mentioned new clients but sparked over Arthur's cadaver lab stories. Stella's managing, Mom would say. Before launching into Arthur's latest achievements, the unspoken hierarchy became clear. My practical support mattered less than his prestigious future. Turning point. The Christmas party incident lives in sharp relief. "Your son's in medical school? How impressive," Mrs. Jenkins gushed. Mom beamed. "We've always valued education." The words landed like a dropped bucket. My night classes in business management, the seminars attended between shifts, all erased by Arthur's stethoscope. That night, I studied our company's growth charts until dawn. 80 employees, 5 million revenue, countless spotless spaces where people lived, healed, thrived. The numbers didn't lie, even if my family's pride couldn't add them up. Key improvements. Stronger opening, immediate sensory detail, lemon scent, creates connection. Tighter timeline, removed redundant details while keeping emotional beats. Visual storytelling, the framed photos device shows rather than tells the central conflict. Professional insight, added authentic cleaning details to ground Stella's expertise. Emotional precision, sharpened key moments, hospital scene, tuition decision. Thematic threads, reinforced the "seeing what others ignore" motif throughout. Pacing, balanced introspection with action to maintain momentum. The invisible sister. The Christmas lights twinkled mockingly as my mother's voice carried across the crowded living room. "Arthur's been selected for the prestigious Harrison Fellowship," she announced, her smile radiant as the neighbors murmured approval. I watched from the kitchen doorway, my hands still damp from washing the punch bowl no one had thanked me for bringing. Then came the question that always followed. "And what about Stella?" Mrs. Peterson asked politely. My mother's smile didn't falter, but her eyes glazed over like waxed linoleum. "Oh, she's managing." The pause spoke volumes before she quickly added, "But Arthur." I'd heard this refrain for years, but tonight it landed differently. Maybe it was the way Arthur avoided my gaze as he accepted another congratulatory handshake, or how my father had casually mentioned my tuition payments to Arthur's dean earlier, not as evidence of my generosity, but as proof of our family's commitment to medicine. The final blow came when I overheard Arthur whispering to Maya near the mistletoe. "Just ignore her," he said, nodding toward me. "She's just the cleaning lady who pays my bills." The uninvited. When my mother called to disinvite me from Christmas, Her voice had the same tone she used when canceling a magazine subscription, polite but firm. Arthur thinks it might be awkward, she explained, with Maya's parents being who they are. I stared at the framed photo on my desk, 8-year-old Arthur grinning as I bandaged his scraped knee. That boy would have rather died than be ashamed of me. The revelation. Maya met me at our usual cafe, her hands shaking around her peppermint tea. They're pretending you don't exist, she blurted out. Arthur told his professors he's funding himself through medical school. The irony tasted bitter. I'd spent years ensuring Arthur never saw an unpaid bill, while he'd been erasing me from his narrative. The reckoning. The tuition portal glowed on my laptop, $92,450 paid this year alone. My finger hovered over the "Cancel Automatic Payments" button as snow tapped against the window like ghostly fingertips. When the notice went unpaid, the calls came in rapid succession. Mother, this is a mistake. Father, you're being emotional. Arthur, you promised. Only when I remained silent did Arthur's voice crack. What do you want me to say? Try, thank you, I suggested. Or better yet, my sister owns a $5 million company and I'm ashamed of her. The transformation. The Arthur who showed up at my office months later was unrecognizable, not just thinner, but softer around the edges. His designer clothes had been replaced by scrubs faintly stained with cafeteria coffee. I've been mopping floors at the free clinic, he admitted, rubbing his reddened hands. Turns out it's harder than it looks. As we talked, I noticed how he no longer flinched when my employees called me boss. How he finally saw the artistry in streak-free windows and the calculus of chemical dilution ratios. The mending. At Arthur's medical school graduation, Maya's mother, the hospital janitor of 22 years, pressed a business card into my hand. Your brother finally introduced us properly, she said with a wink. Arthur's valedictorian speech contained an unexpected line. Healing requires both those who wield scalpels and those who wield mops, and we should honor both equally. Later, as we stood together in the spotless hospital corridor, Arthur finally said the words I'd waited a lifetime to hear. Stella Romano, cleaning entrepreneur. He tested the phrase like a foreign language he was determined to master. Has a nice ring to it. The antiseptic scent of the hallway mingled with the floral arrangements as we walked toward our waiting family. Some stains, I reflected, take more than one pass to remove completely, but with the right tools and enough patience, even the deepest ones eventually fade.